Hello, and welcome to the Yoga Teachers Talking Yoga podcast. In this new 6-part series of interviews, we'll talk to yoga teachers both established and emerging. We'll find out what got them into yoga, why they became teachers, how they got started, the teaching and practice styles, who inspires them, and what their plans are for the future. Today my guest is Liz Kraefft, owner of Ku-ring-gai Yoga. For over 20 years, Liz has taught hatha yoga classes, done corporate wellness, and has lectured on yoga with the IYTA. Today she joins me from her home in Sydney.
Hi Paul, thanks for having me.
So, good place to start is, what got you into yoga?
Well, I had a class of yoga when I was maybe 16 or 17 at high school, and it was all a little mysterious and it was a bit of fun, as these things often are. And then I left school, started work. I was working in the city, and I had spare time in between like a lunch shift and an evening shift, because I was an apprentice at the time. And I found a yoga class in the Dimmicks building, and it was Iyengar style of yoga.
Okay.
So I went there to break up the time, because there was no point kind of going home or doing much else. So yeah, that's how I first came into yoga, and it was actually a really good introduction to the practice. It gave me a bit of focus and a bit of direction from a legitimate yoga teacher, because when I was at high school it was probably some kind of gym teacher or PE teacher or something.
And no one really knew much about yoga back then.
No. And I think, my parents thought I was going into some occult.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not really sure about that either, but it was a little different, but I knew it felt good, and it was good for me, so that's how I first came into it.
Was it just a one-off, or did you go back again?
No, I continued,
right.
Yes. So I went to one class to see what it was all about, and I continued. So I think I probably went about twice a week to this class. It was in the Dimmicks building. So yeah.
Yeah, good on you. Iyengar Yoga, the BKS Iyengar, huh?
Yes, yeah. So it was the first practices that I'd been to that had the use of the blocks and all other kinds of props. They had a whole lot of benches, wooden bench types of things where you would actually do back bends over, and they didn't have straps on the wall that I can remember that you often see in Iyengar studios now. But there were blocks, there were chairs that were used for different things, bolsters. So yeah, it was like a whole new world for me of kind of exploring. So yeah, it was really good. A moment meant to happen, maybe? Yeah, maybe. Yeah? Maybe. Might have been something else. Might have been something else you got into, or... Yeah, well, I was always an interested sports person, so it made sense to fill the void of time doing something active. But I had no idea as to what yoga was all about, the depth of it, that is. I knew it was something physical, but I had no idea at that time that it was going to open other avenues of and depths of practice with the pranayama and meditation. Yeah. Which they did, but that was that comes later. Yeah, and that was the first time I'd ever kind of touched onto anything like that. Why did it resonate, do you think, with you? I just think firstly because of the physical practice, which is probably why most people start, yoga, because they want to be active. So that resonated. And then as the teacher was introducing different practices that were new to me, I just kind of thought, wow, this breathing stuff feels good. And I noticed that it was kind of made me feel good, for without trying to put other words into it, because when I was, 18, then yoga vocabulary, So it was just, I felt good. The breathing made me feel grounded, I guess, and you know, all of the meditation that we did was all very new. I just, yeah, it resonated because of the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the effects were, you know, and of course I was, you know, an apprentice chef. It's a world of absolute chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that it was good for me to learn to minimise stress, because working in that environment is very stressful.
Mm-hmm. High intensity.
In
the kitchens, yeah.
And very aggressive, especially in the early 80s
mm-hmm.
when I started. And, you know, very few women were doing those trades.
Yeah.
So it was a really, you know, male-dominated area, and it just helped me a lot with stress.
And then Ku-ring-gai Yoga came later. What should I do?
Ku-ring-gai Yoga came later when I moved to Pymble, and prior to that I continued at that studio in the city. I also went to a couple of different studios in Glebe, because at the time I was living in Ultimo, and so I was kind of doing the inner city circuit of different studios, which there weren't that many.
Mm-hmm.
as there are now. So then my husband and I moved to Pymble, and I saw all these yoga students. I knew they were yoga students because they were carrying yoga mats, and I didn't know where they were coming from, but they were around the corner from where I was living, and I did my investigating.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the days before websites as well. You know, it would have been
course.
1991.
Mm-hmm.
And I just managed to track them down, looked in the yellow pages.
You have to work a lot harder back then.
You did. And that's how I came to become a student at the Ku-ring-gai Yoga School with Margaret North.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And who founded the school and is still practicing or teaching 1 day a week, and a pioneer in yoga, do you think, in Australia?
I think definitely she started that business. She tells me that she started the business in her lounge room when she was living in St Ives, and it became very popular, and so that's when she was seeking out premises, and so she found the Uniting Church. And I guess the business model for yoga studios was very different. There were a lot more community-based classes, you know, being held in community spaces, such as, you know, church halls or community buildings, you know. And so when I found her, she had well established her business in the Uniting Church, in the hall space there, and that's where we continue. The building was renovated. We've got a bigger hall area now than we ever used to have.
Did you have to do something temporarily elsewhere while they renovated?
They did, yeah. We went down to the church at West Pymble, and which doesn't exist anymore. It was pulled down, but it wasn't a hall. It was actually we were in a room, in rooms where some of the church services were, so there were still pews that I remember. We were there for maybe a few months, and then we went back up to the Pacific Highway and, you know, had our time back into the new parquetried floor, which is where we are.
That's where we are today. Mm-hmm. And I've also been practicing at KY myself since 2016, so 8 years now. And there's been classes that are offered nearly every day of the week.
Sunday.
Except Sunday, of course. What was it like back in those days? How many classes a week were there?
Back in the day, there was far less competition for the business. And there were, when I started teaching for Marg, after I did my teacher training, there were two classes each morning, 2 classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evening. There were 2 classes on Saturday morning. So basically I would suggest that there were almost double the amount of classes that there are today.
Wow.
So
and full classes?
And full classes, yeah.
A function of the fact that there weren't many yoga places then.
That's right. And up in the in the Upper North Shore, the classes that were available were similar styles in similar venues. And of course that's not the case now. There's yoga studios in the form of a premises that is not a shared space. It's definitively for that yoga business. The skills that you need to be a teacher, I feel I already had those, so I could really focus on learning what I needed to learn, and that was everything there is that I can possibly take from the yoga tuition from the course. Class planning
and
thinking
on your feet.
The history and traditions of yoga, all of the content that we need to deliver a really good, well balanced yoga class. I could focus on all of that.
Did the IYTA course at the time connect with the philosophy and the history of yoga behind it that we did?
Yes. All of the content that you did was in the original course, but I think it was improved when it had been updated when you did your teacher training. It was the same content, but it was honed and slightly restructured. So I think it became a really, really good course.
And the meditation pranayama that David Burgess guided us through for that year.
That's right.
It's something he honed over
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. And so, before the IYTA closed its doors, I did David's pranayama class, meditation and pranayama class, standalone. Remember, you could do it online with him and all the coursework. So I did that because I always thought that, if you really want to get the benefit, you learn from that person who is really steeped in that knowledge, and that's how I see David. So I got a lot out of that.
You spent all the years in the ashrams.
And that's right. That would have been about 2000 and, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah. And the magic word there is online. So where it began with KY, it was localised yoga school, weren't many around. With the advent of all this technology, online capabilities, there's a proliferation of yoga, not only in Sydney, around the world, and people in Sydney can practice with someone in the UK or wherever now. How are those pressures, how's KY with a studio that it's managed to hang on to at the Uniting Church in Pymble, how's it managed to maintain a minimum number of students to make it a going concern, and as well as...
I think it's a great question because during the pandemic and the COVID lockdown situation, there was a lot of pressure to go a little more online and, Zooming classes here and there, as a lot of people did. I didn't do that. But I did some Facebook Live events, and I did a weekly yoga Nidra class, and I did some recordings and I uploaded them. I never offered any Zoom classes because I found all of that a bit overwhelming for me to organise, and I couldn't do it from a studio like any live recordings. that a lot of other practitioners manage to be able to do. And I felt too out of my depth for any of that. So how we've managed to stay afloat with other businesses is to really stay connected with our students very much. And I believe that we've nurtured and created a very welcoming community. I think it's the community feel. Mm-hmm. So we've got a lot of regulars, and we get new people every year perhaps coming. And then it's like anything. If something works for you and you feel like this is the right fit, then you stay.
That's right.
Okay, and then if it's not the right fit, then that's okay. You'll find something that is going to be workable for you as an individual. You need to find your tribe, as they say.
Yes.
Because if you want to maintain the practices of yoga, you need to enjoy it and feel like you belong there.
Over those years, you've developed a very strong culture of practicing yoga.
Yeah.
And meditation, the mindfulness, the class that Kathy did once. So then genders its own following, doesn't it? Like you say, a loyalty.
I think so. We're very fortunate to be still afloat, to be honest. After the pandemic and everyone was in lockdown, I really wasn't 100% sure how it was going to come back, and we did lose a lot of people who might have been going to leave anyway. You know, they might have been ready to move on to something else, and so that was just the catalyst that they needed. You know, these things happen, right?
A natural attrition.
Exactly, and it just kind of pushed them to maybe not return. But over the last 2 years, we've slowly got back to our, I guess pretty much the regulars who were with us have come back, got some new people. We are afloat as a business. We're maintaining that, and, you know, hopefully it continues. My very fortunate position is, you know, the business is not only what I can do for my income. You know, I'm a retired person, you know, so I do have other means.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate to have a mindset of the money is a bonus, you know?
Yeah.
And I find that very freeing because if it was my only way of making ends meet financially for my income, maybe the business model would have had to evolve differently. I've always thought about that, you know.
So we've talked a little bit about this, haven't we? So you're quite happy with the size of KY and the classes on offer. You did do some corporate work though.
I did,
Was that with Ku-ring-gai Yoga?
I did, in a few local businesses around the Upper North Shore and into Ku-ring-gai, further up to Barrow and stuff like that. I did that for a while, but I didn't actually enjoy the fact that I had to take props and clear a room, and it's hard work.
And start from scratch each time.
Yes.
Almost. Whereas you can walk into one of your classes now, your students are pretty used to what the format is.
Exactly.
They know to lie down to start grounding.
And we've got all the equipment there.
And all the equipment's there.
You know, the corporate environment is a little trickier unless they've got their own defined space, you know. But there's a lot of people out there doing corporate yoga, and that's what they do, and they've probably got a great way of doing it. But, you know, yeah.
Do you look around much to see what others are doing, or are you pretty happy with just the way you've got?
No, I always look around.
Yeah.
You know, I go onto different websites. I do go to some different classes around the place. here and there. I go to different workshops. So I do see what else is going on. I know that some people are always going to resonate to attend a yoga studio because there's a certain degree of anonymity to a yoga studio, because the teacher may not always know who you are. You know, they might know who you are, but they might not. There might be lots more classes. There are yoga classes in different gyms, and that might suit somebody. You know, our demographic and our people, they like that sense of community, as we've said before.
Ku-ring-gai Yoga has a weekly format of classes that are predominantly hatha yoga based. You do some slow yoga.
I do
some yoga nidra.
Yeah, I do one class a week on Fridays that started several years ago and became very popular. It was an hour class, and I wanted people to experience yoga nidra because it had personally helped me over a very challenging time. And I thought, if it helped me, it's going to help everybody. People need to know about this. So I started a 30 minutes of gentle, slow, very slow practice, followed by half an hour of full yoga nidra. And I now have 20 regulars who come to that class. And some people come and go in and out of it because they come to other classes during the week and they make it as, part of their 2 or 3 classes during the week, and they love it. And then there are others in that class who only come because that's what they want. And I think it's become quite popular. People are healing. People have maybe been unwell. They need to do things a little more gently, and they've realised that the yoga nidra practice, which is very, very healing and very, very intense as far as how subtle it can be in healing the body and the mind, and how stress relieving it can be, and all the other many benefits. People they don't know what's going on or why it's working, but they know it does. And that speaks.
That's the magic of it.
And that's the magic of it. Like, we don't need to say it works because of X, Y, Z. Let's just trust.
Yeah, that's right.
Trust.
Letting go and giving over to the process.
Yeah. I'd like to have more of those classes. If I had an option of, if I knew that we could make it viable to have another class, I would. But I think we're at that point where it's enough, because I do have to pay rent. So I do have overheads, even though I just said to you, I'm not worried about the money so much.
Keep the business
afloat. But I want to keep it afloat. I want to, at least break even, so.
Yeah, absolutely. So just for those that may not be too aware of yoga nidra, could you just describe quickly or briefly the process?
Yoga nidra is a practice of, it's classified as a meditation practice. You lie down in the posture of shavasana, which is lying down, feeling quite supported, and the idea is that you stay awake and aware, and you listen to the instructions from the teacher who is providing it, and it goes through quite a very structured process of bringing the awareness to various parts of the body, stilling the body, bringing the body into a quiet space, focusing on the mind, the present moment, the breath, and also at the beginning of the practice we create a sankalpa, which is an intention. Seeing your higher self. And something, how I say to my students, especially new people, it's like, what is it that you want to bring more of into your life? And so you repeat your sankalpa in a positive tense as if it's already happening. So my go-to always is I am peaceful, or I am healthy and well, or my body is healthy and well. And then other people might be trying to bring something more specific into their lives. Now, it doesn't have to be a material thing. I don't tend to say, I want a new diamond ring. I'm wearing a 3-carat diamond ring. You know, it's more about, you know, something that you need more of. And I find that material things, they come and they go. So
you might get someone on the mat saying, I am wearing a diamond ring.
You might. And if they repeat it and they really, you know, have that intention and they stay with it, then maybe
you get it.
Maybe they get it.
You do.
Maybe they do.
Maybe you do. But the practice of the Nidra lying down, the intention, often will align with that more fundamental aspect of pleasantness, peacefulness.
Yes, that's right. What happens is, you know, the teacher will take the person around the whole body, take them around the body with points, you know, starting from the right hand thumb, the second finger, third finger, you know, palm of the hand, back of the hand, all the way through around the body. And then the whole intention of the dialogue is to keep the person on the mat connected and avoiding sleep. So that is a whole lot of fantastic content, all wound into one simple practice.
I think so. And I think that's a real discriminator for Ku-ring-gai Yoga, that it offers that practice regularly, that you get that loyal following 20 you say in a class, that a lot of yoga schools around Sydney, for example, focus more on vinyasa or heated classes or some such. So there's really something there that people can come to and experience regularly. Yeah. Because the consistency of the practice is what matters, isn't it? So the more that you do it, the more
benefits you get.
The more benefits you get.
Yeah, I think so. I think the, you know, styles of yoga, what people want for a style of yoga changes as they go through the different times of their life. You know, when I was younger, I wanted much more of a physical practice. So there's always a place for different approaches and different styles. It's just, you know, I'm perhaps keeping alive an approach for people who are of a certain age. And so yoga isn't just for people at that time of their life. It goes from, you know, 18 when I started. Margaret, who's much older than me now, she's still practicing yoga. She's still on the mat. And, you know, this is what the joy of yoga is. You can keep practicing until you are no longer.
That's right. It's the health span over the lifespan.
Yeah.
The quality of life.
Exactly. And Margaret teaches at the Seniors Centre in Mossman now. She does 2 classes a week up there since she moved. And when she started, they were all too scared to get down onto the floor. You know, so slowly she gained their confidence, and, you know, they now have a hatha yoga class like we know, and on the floor, on their yoga mats, and reconnecting with the fact that they've got this body that they really can still use, but let's not be scared about it, you know. And of course, we do need to modify poses. We do need to modify practices as we change.
Make it available to people to practice. So that's really good there. And do you think that style of yoga teaching is a function of the types of students you get, or you offer this style of yoga and so these are the students you get, or is it a bit of both?
I've never thought about it. I think that people who are new to yoga don't know anything different. And so if it's their first experience, then they'll maybe resonate with it because it's not too challenging, or I can explain how to make it more challenging. I think we get a lot of people word of mouth, referred from other students. And I think maybe those students who refer to their friends or, whatever, they say, yeah, go to Ku-ring-gai Yoga because, it's very friendly, it's very welcoming, the practice is not too challenging, it's accessible. So I think it could be a little bit of both. I'm not sure if it answers the question.
The horse and the cart, isn't it?
Yeah.
One against the other.
Yes. What I do understand is when you go to a yoga class and it's too challenging for you, then often you're put off for life. You kind of think, oh my God, that was just too much for me. I feel like I've hurt my body, or, it's just been a bit too jarring. So I often think that a hatha yoga class that is not too rigorous, and what I mean by that is that we don't do any vinyasa, flowing, jumping through series of sun salutations. We don't do that. I tried a class like that some years ago, and no one wanted it. There are a few people who wanted it, but it wasn't that everybody thought, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to do at least a class like that a week. And like I said before, that style is appropriate for certain people, and that's all they will ever do, and that's fantastic.
It's a more physical aerobic workout. It's not taking its time, and it has its place.
It has its place.
I'm not diminishing its place, but it's not giving space for the connecting breath to movement.
That's right.
As such, or it's less of a focus to connect breath to movement.
That's right. And of course,
consciously.
Yes, and so what we know, you and I, and all of us practitioners know, that the real joy is that the connection of the breath and the physical practice,
which is yoga,
and then it all comes to lead to the meditation, so that you become absolutely prepared to be still. Mm-hmm. So if you're not bringing all of those elements together, then we could be just, saying it's just physical exercise, which is, again, not to be understated. It's just not yoga.
But it's not yoga.
No.
And it's, as you say, 8 limbs of yoga, according to Patanjali, and asana, which is what we're talking about, is one the third limb.
Yeah.
And the 5 that follow are all related to creating the stillness, withdrawing from senses, increasing your focus and concentration to achieve a heightened conscious state, which is effectively restoring your center of being. Yeah. Rather than being at the mercy of the fluctuation of the things that come into your mind.
Yes.
Which is a compulsive response to having a developed brain that we have.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Yeah. One aspect of your teaching which always impresses me, Liz, is the freshness you bring to a class. So you said there before that you do pay attention to the sorts of offerings other yoga schools make or have, how do you get your new ideas? There'll always be a little, this time we're just sort of pretending to have a ball we're moving this way, from left to right. Or you'll do a slightly different variation of a downward dog or a...
Yeah, I think I try and create my class plans with the knowledge that I can never offer all of the repertoire of, all of the many
84 postures.
Yeah, and their variations. I can never do all of them. Physically, I can't do all of them myself, and I know my students can't either. So you've got to, I'm always conscious of repetition and boredom. Now, my students say to me that every class feels different, and I'm amazed that they feel that, and I feel very happy with that.
Well, I'm reporting that to you.
Yes. So I try and be a little creative in not feeling like I kind of stand on the floor, and as I'm doing my practice, I might just move in different ways. And I think I'm just creative. I don't really have an answer for you. It's just that I don't... I almost make it like a little dance in a way. Some of those moving, flowing movements come from a slight understanding of the body, how it kind of moves and how it feels good to move.
Do you think also having a teaching background, knowing that the learning, creating an environment for better learning is one where there is some variation?
Yeah. That
you're not just locked into the one thing. You mentioned Iyengar at the very beginning. Is Iyengar or Bikram, they're the ones with the fixed vinyasa? It's a Bikram, isn't it?
It's the Bikram, yes.
So you go to a Bikram class.
And it's always the same.
It's that process. But what you're aiming to do is to perfect the process.
Yes.
There are plenty of sadhus or yogis across India right now who are making their lifelong ambition to do one posture.
Yes.
As a divine expression.
Mm-hmm.
With your practice, there's regular postures you go to, but there is this variety and this refreshed
slant on it. Yeah.
That you do.
Yeah. Yes, and it comes to me. I don't know how it comes to me, but it just does.
Flows from the.
Yes, but it's good feedback to have, but because I'm always very conscious of everything being repetitive. But I kind of think that the longer you teach, the more creative you can become, really. Because when you're new, like when I was a new teacher, I would absolutely have had to stick to what my yoga teachers had told me, this is how you approach it. And that's not to say you don't always have those fundamentals as your core. You have to keep those. And as you learn, or as you get more confident in your teaching, you can become a little bit more experimental. If you know the foundation and the core of a posture, if you know that, then you have more scope to play. I say play. It's a little bit of yoga play.
If I might say, you're describing proficiency.
Yeah.
And so the experience engenders a capability and an understanding of when to do something and not to do something, and then how to bring something new in. I think that's just...
Yes, yeah, you're right. And I often bring this, I've always brought this back to recipes. So as a chef, when you're a new apprentice, there's no way you're going to go off of that recipe unless it's something scientific like pastry and bread and, there's a formula. But if it's something else, that it doesn't really matter how much of this or that you put in, you can change the recipe. But you must have the foundations before.
Something you've cooked enough times, you know how you like to taste it, and so there's something off the grid here that I'm going to add that.
Exactly.
That's Tabasco sauce, I'm going to do
exactly
that dollop of this, and that's going to
exactly
make it a memorable experience.
Yep. You know, there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of yoga teachers now in the whole world who are stepping back their practice and not trying too hard to make things too hardcore, for want of a better word. You know, I think there's more gentle yoga being brought into the sphere as a legitimate way and approach.
Is that a reflection of anxiety in our community?
I think it might be.
Slowing it down?
I think so. I've noticed that in some various studios I've seen in the United States, and we had a yoga IYTA yoga teacher who moved to the United States, and I follow what he has done. And you know, his classes have a lot more slower options and including some yoga nidra. So I think it's I think it's something that's coming in, has been around for a while now, and you know, I think it just is going to expand more and more.
That's interesting. Do you think it's a growing trend across Sydney specifically?
I don't really know.
It's more a global phenomenon.
I think it's. I don't know actually, Paul. I'm not sure. I see certain studios offering workshops, you know, for yin and yin style of yoga and a yoga nidra. So I see it out there. I don't think that there's a lot of studios who have it specifically as a particular class. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they are. They should, because I think everyone needs it more and more.
And I think the Nidra is given to in-class guidance better than online. There's just a different energy within the room, isn't there? There's a different,
I guess so,
settling of energy.
I think it's you know, yoga in a, you know, with your teacher is always, in my view, is always going to be a more well-rounded experience if you're together in the room. But having said that, I listen to yoga nidras that are offered on the Insight Timer app, which I use a lot for myself, and I still get a lot of benefit from it.
Okay.
So long as it's the right voice, and it's not watered down, or it has all the elements that I like to have. It's the same things like, you know, you go to that teacher because you like that style and approach. It's the same on the online environment.
Yeah, and I think even when you're initially grounding the class, there's a simple language that you bring in, that you don't get too caught up in specifics or technique. It's just letting it roll out. It feels organic. It just feels natural.
Yeah.
And that sets the scene. I noticed in your teaching, the way you teach, you don't generally use too much Sanskrit names. Every now and again you'll drop one.
I used to do more Sanskrit when I was first teaching, because that was what we had to do.
It was fresh in your mind?
It was fresh in my mind. And then as I progressed, I've questioned myself as to whether I should be returning to more Sanskrit, and I'm a bit torn, because I'm very much about not over, using terminology that people don't understand. And then, you know, sometimes why do you need to give something a name when it all just flows together, and I'm demonstrating anyway? So I'm not sure if
the focus is on the practice itself, rather than we're doing this now, we're doing Uttangasana, we're doing Hatha.
Yeah, but having said that, I'm I've been questioning myself, even as we go back for this year's classes, whether I'm going to start teaching with the Sanskrit language again. So it's an interesting question that you've posed to me right now, because it's in my mind.
Yeah.
You know, will I start teaching using the Sanskrit again or not? My sister has started enjoying classes. She lives in Spain, and she was saying to me about the different Sanskrit. You know, the teacher speaks in the Sanskrit, and I thought, oh yeah, okay. It's probably good in a foreign country to have that language, because if you're an English person and you go to a yoga class, it's international in a way, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you can go to another country and you don't understand anything, but you can go to yoga and you understand what's going on.
Could well be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, we talked a lot about the slower type of yoga, more gentle, relaxed practice. We've got a number of teachers at Ku-ring-gai Yoga. I've practiced once or twice with Rita Humphreys.
Yeah.
She can put you through a stronger vinyasa. She's done that, and she ties in some Sanskrit terms, and she's leading you through those. So it's quite a nice little blend, isn't there?
Yeah.
Within the Ku-ring-gai Yoga teaching fraternity, you've got yourself and Kathy, you've got Rita, you've got
Lynn, Marg, that offer similar yet got their own personalised approach. Yeah, and I think everyone is unique, and we all come from the same stable, so to speak, and had the same training, but we all have a different approach and a different slant, and I think that's good. Especially for people who want to do several classes a week, and they go to different teachers and they get something different from each one, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's one of Ku-ring-gai Yoga's great traits, that there's a variety, but whilst there is differences, there's similarities.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, I'm sure. But
I know what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's everyone's unique in their approach to delivery, perhaps, and but it still fits within the context of, you know, who our people are, you know, who the Ku-ring-gai student is, why they're with us. We need to keep that approach, because they come to us for certain, you know, reasons, you know.
And those reasons are individual, and there's probably as many reasons there are students. There are a couple there that like the mindful meditation type classes that do get offered as well on the Monday nights, because they allow them to find that stillness for various reasons in their lives. So you've got a real good sort of portfolio of capability classes.
Yeah.
Going into the next year and next little while, what are you looking to hopefully achieve for Ku-ring-gai Yoga?
More of the same, Paul.
Yeah, where things are.
I think we need to keep rolling on and staying relevant in the community, and keep our lovely regulars with us. So more of the same. We've got a retreat in May, which is booked out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was a surprise that we've gone to a different venue, and we've able to take more people. So we've booked that out.
Where are you heading off to?
We're off to Bundanoon, to the Quest for Life Centre.
Very nice.
We've been down there before, but not for about 7 years. And we're looking forward to that. The only other things I've got planned for the year are a few different workshops that we do on weekends during the term breaks, and I haven't planned them yet, but they will always happen, you know.
That is something else we haven't mentioned too much yet, but whilst you do the Monday to Friday and the Saturday morning classes during school terms, you do Ku-ring-gai Yoga does have special one-off 2-hour classes on a Saturday during term breaks,
that's where you did your...
I've done a yoga for golfers.
Yoga for golfers, which was great,
which was good. Thanks for making that opportunity available to me. But you've also had yin yoga classes, other styles of yoga. Sort of specialist classes.
Yeah, different. We've sometimes done a partner workshop, or one time more recently I did a Sankalpa setting kind of workshop, so for preparation for the Yoga Nidra, so we kind of went through a little bit more depth. But this year in January, just that we're in now, I've just finished two workshop classes, and they were not specifically goal-oriented. They were just 2 hours of pure practice, and we had lots of time to breathe and meditate and do our physical practice and have a full half-hour Yoga Nidra. So I just offered them as, extended classes, 2 hours of extended yoga class, and it was lovely.
And was quite a popular thing.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's great.
So we're ready for the new term.
So in coming into yoga yourself, did you have any inspirations? Were there any yogis of lore or that you drew from initially?
Initially, no, because I didn't know anyone. It wasn't until I connected with yoga teachers that I studied with, as in when I did my course. And Janet Stevens, she's a yoga teacher here in St Ives. She was very connected to Kaustubh Desikachar, and he became somebody who we used to go and visit when he visited Australia, he'd have workshops. So we hosted him a couple of times here. So he was quite an inspiration for me, because he was very, very... He's a great yoga teacher, very competent in the Yoga Sutras, being able to deliver workshops on the Yoga Sutras and put them into a modern context, and it was interesting and accessible.
That'll be Patanjali's Yoga Sutras to speak of?
Yes, sorry. Yeah. So, we did a fair bit of work with him, learnt a whole lot of stuff from him. So I guess over the years, it's like visiting international yoga teachers of many backgrounds. Most recently, Joe Brown from the United States. Some other people who I was fortunate enough to attend workshops with was Judith Hanson Lassiter. She's an American lady, and she's visited Australia quite a lot. Forget the pandemic time, so I don't think anyone's been visiting here much that I'm aware of. But she's a physiotherapist, so she had a lot of really great knowledge on all aspects of yoga, but she used to focus a lot on various parts of the body, in like upper body or lower limbs, hips. So I went to a workshop with her some years ago that was focusing on the upper back and the shoulders. Now, because I've had 2 frozen shoulders over the years, not for a long, long time, but it was of great interest to me because the shoulder joint is so complex. So I wanted to kind of support my own self. So this is the fantastic thing about people's different backgrounds, her being a yoga teacher and a physiotherapist, you know, she had a lot of added. It was a real bonus. So she was good, but she's also good with all things yoga philosophy as well. She keeps it real. She's got quite a lot of books that, you know, are great books for people who are new to yoga as well. It's really, she writes very well, and it's real, you know. And then Donna Fahy, she is a yoga teacher. She's also American, but I believe she lives in New Zealand. She is also very a good delivery of content, and I think that's important, because you might have somebody who's got a lot of knowledge, but you need to be able to deliver as well, and be able to explain things and, you know, break it all down. So between Kaustubh Desikachar and the teachings, Judith and Donna, internationally, they're probably the three teachers who I've done more with. You know,
how do you think their approach and what they can impart, the wisdom they have, how does that inform your own teaching methods?
Well, I guess knowing that I don't know too much, you know, yeah. And it gives me great joy to know that I can't know everything, and when I go to, you know, these types of international teachers who know so much, it puts you back in your place a bit, and you realise I don't know a lot, but what I do know, I'm going to share, and I'm going to try and at least inspire maybe some other, you know, people to keep coming to yoga, whether it's with me or someone else, you know. Not sure if that answers the question, Paul.
It certainly did, and it's a lovely way to end, in a sense, because the way that you've taken on yoga, you've gone through, become a teacher, and you are sharing what you know in an environment that is very generous and very friendly. It builds rapport. You've developed a very strong loyalty, and so all these things are really things to be proud of, I think, and the way you've done that, and drawing from these sources of inspiration, and looking forward to continue to see Ku-ring-gai Yoga go very well in the future.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for inviting me onto your program.
We hope you enjoyed hearing about Liz's amazing yoga journey. Our next interview will be with yogi and entrepreneur Carolina Freeman. We look forward to seeing you then.